Hi, this is Ilko from keypiano.com. Today I want to teach you how to sight read intervals, and then especially generic intervals that don't have any accidentals. I want to teach you to recognize the intervals from a second to the octave. This is fairly easy to do once you know a few simple shortcuts. Here's the first shortcut. If one of the notes is on a line and the other one is on a space, then you know you're looking at an even interval. So in the range of an octave, it can only be a second, a fourth, a sixth, or an octave. The second shortcut is quite similar. If both notes are on a line or both notes are on a space, then you know you're looking at an odd interval. So again, in the range of an octave, it can only be a third, a fifth, or a seventh. Let's take a closer look at the first example. You can see that the top note is on a space and the bottom note is on a line. Now you know it's an even interval. In this case, it's a sixth. As you can see in the second example, both notes are on a space. So in this case, it's an odd interval. We're looking at a fifth here. I'm not going to teach you each interval here. I think with the information I just gave you, you should easily be able to figure out the rest of the intervals on your own. So why is this useful to us? To explain that, I would like you to have a look at a piece of real sheet music. It's written in the key of D flat. That looks really complicated, but really it isn't. Let's ignore the first chord. There's another video on chords, so we'll get into that later. I want you to focus on the last four notes of the first measure and just identify the first note. It's an F. If you've practiced your intervals, you know that you go up an octave, go down a third, and go down a fourth. It doesn't take much time to see that. The only problem here is that you really need to know the key of D flat. None of the notes that you see have any accidentals. So that means that all the notes here stay within the key of D flat. That should make it a lot easier already. So before you start sight reading in a key like this, it's very important that you already know what each interval in this key feels like starting on any note within this key. It's actually your fingers that need to know the intervals. So when you're on the high F, for example, going down a third, your fingers know that you're landing on a D flat. And going down a fourth from that D flat, your fingers should know that you're landing on an A flat. Of course, this takes a lot of practice, and how annoying it may sound, scales should be a part of your daily routine. And I advise you not to play only the scale, for example of D flat, but also practice the scale with all those intervals. If you know how to play the scale of D flat in thirds or in fourths without looking at your hands, then I think you would have no trouble at all playing this piece of sheet music. If you quickly take a look at this piece of sheet music, these 8 measures, then you'll see that apart from the octave, the most common intervals are a third and a fourth. I used to be really scared of key signatures with more than 2 flats or sharps in it, but with this method it doesn't really make a difference. So that's it for now. Thanks for your attention and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.